By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how I use my EDC notebook every single day to increase productivity, clarity, and confident direction in all areas of my life. Let's go. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. Before kicking off, there are timestamps in the description below, so feel free to hop around as you see fit. I shared my current everyday carry recently, and if you're interested, I'll link that video right up here. But in the comments, I was surprised that some of you fine folks were interested in how I use the notebook portion of my EDC every single day for productivity and confident, decisive action. This video is ultimately about gaining clarity and direction in life, which when I think of it is weird since productivity is the underpinning prevailing foundation. And we often anchor productivity to work or school, but productivity itself at the end of the day means being efficient and effective, whether on a micro level of a work or school project, deciding on a purchase, going on a trip, or on a macro level like pursuing your dreams, fostering strong relationships, or living your best life. So why is a notebook the unequivocal tool to me when there are iPads and Apple Pencils, Google Docs, digital to-do lists, and the rest? Three main reasons. It's the fastest, it's inherently time-sensitive, and it's optimized for focus and retention. So let's dive into how I use my notebook for productivity and ultimately to achieve desired net results in every area of your life, whether it's personal, personally professional, or collaborative work and leisure. Desired results are the linchpin. There are three core types of page executions: results definition, checkpoint mapping, and task listing. The idea of productivity, it all starts with needing or wanting to get something done. The I gotta ... I gotta buy that jacket. I gotta get a higher paying job. The I gotta meet this report deadline. I gotta lose fat. I gotta go on a relaxing vacation. This is the beginning of results definition, the first of my three page execution types. I find, like most people I've met, when I thought of what I want or need, the knee-jerk reaction is in fact one of very little thought, where many times I would end up working towards an inaccurate perceived desired result by merely solving a symptom as opposed to solving the actual root challenge or opportunity. Or, as Alain de Botton so accurately put it,
because it's bad enough not getting what you want, but it's even worse to have an idea of what it is you want and find out at the end of the journey that it isn't in fact what you wanted all along.
So the first page execution type in my notebook system is to mitigate those types of tragedies of wasted time and effort by first clearly defining the what and validating through the whys. And I'll give you a real life example of one such initial knee-jerk reaction failure of my own right now. Anytime someone starts a YouTube channel for whatever reasons and motivations they may have, at least a small portion, if not a huge portion, of the perceived desired results is to have 1 million subscribers. And I'm no different. So that was the what at the top of my page, have 1 million subscribers. But as soon as I started jotting down the whys, it became very apparent quickly that the what was tremendously flawed. I discovered that the real goal was to get to a point where the channel earns enough money to enable me to migrate to going full-time with YouTube, and the subscriber count has absolutely nothing to do with channel earnings. Subscriber count is just an indicator, a positive symptom of the result, but most certainly not the actual desired result. And so the new real results definition, the new what, changed from having 1 million subscribers to looking like this: to continuously earn at least 3,500 Canadian dollars per month after tax from YouTube. That's the what. And now for the why. And so why? Because it feels good to not be at the whim of clients and bosses. It'll enable greater time flexibility so I can be available for loved ones at all hours. And it'll enable travel flexibility since I can continue working as long as I have a camera, computer, and internet. And 3,500 Canadian dollars per month after taxes meets both my survival as well as my sanity minimum costs. And I can focus on creating content full-time and growing income without stressing over survival. You can see why jotting down the real whys is so important, because it lets you know in no uncertain terms that the what is indeed the result that you want, as opposed to sticking with that initial knee-jerk perceived desire, some phantom vanity thing like 1 million subscribers, which is literally just a number that does not directly equate to the real desired results I'm after: time, location, and financial independence. And so with the desired results defined, let's move on to the second type of page execution that I mainly use my notebook for: checkpoint mapping, or the how. Let's use a completely different example from the whole YouTube thing to kind of offer more life situation diversity. job hunting. Whether the why from your results definition is that you need to find a new job because of freedom from a crappy company culture, freedom to earn more, or freedom from a ridiculously long commute, or all of the above, this second page execution type of checkpoint mapping will take the defined result and lay out the map to show you how to get from where you are now to the desired outcome. By the way, I believe that understanding the two different types of freedom, freedom from versus freedom to, is an important frame to always be cognizant of. So if you're interested, I'll link that video right over here. But anyways, let's say the defined result is I need to find a job that lets me pocket at least $4,000 a month after taxes and has a maximum one-way commute of 30 minutes so I can both earn enough to help provide for my family and spend less time on the road every day so I can actually enjoy my family that I'm helping provide for. So checkpoint mapping starts with the literal final destination of this particular journey, which is get hired. The checkpoint before that is impress them in an interview. Before that, it's be invited for an interview in the first place. Prior to that happening, you need to be noticed by the decision makers, the people or person who ultimately decides who they'll be hiring. In order for that to happen, we must identify and reach out to the decision makers about our interest and application, since in this day and age of blind online applications, it's too easy to get lost in the crowd. Before that, though, we need to actually submit a worthy application. And prior to that, we'll need a cover letter and resume tailored for each specific job posting we're applying to. And to be able to tailor a CV to a role, we need to understand the job posting, a bit about the company, and the value we'll bring to the company. The checkpoint before that, and incidentally the first checkpoint, is finding job openings that fit our criteria of a minimum salary that enables $4,000 net per month and has a commute time of less than 30 minutes from home. That's 9 checkpoints on our journey. This is the general checkpoint map, the page execution type that takes that daunting, faraway goal and compresses them into much more approachable, smaller rest stops, where we can truly start to see the map. With the checkpoint map complete, we can head on over to the last main page execution, which is task listing. This is where we get to the meat and potatoes, the real stuff that'll get you to your promised land. Essentially, to respect your own time, you go one at a time from your checkpoints, meaning there are 9 checkpoints to our job hunting journey example. There's no need to stress so much right now on specific tasks of checkpoints 2 through 8 if you haven't even reached checkpoint 1 to begin with. In a nutshell, in this example, you have a big goal of that new job. You've done a vital, fantastic job of identifying the 9 mini goals or the 9 checkpoints within the big one. The last page execution is to, hear this, identify the individual tasks that when completed will let you know that you've reached the next checkpoint. This is so important that I'll say it again in a different way. You have a goal, you've identified checkpoints on the road to get to that goal. Now you need to identify the individual tasks that will prove to yourself that you've reached the next checkpoint. So for checkpoint 1 of our phantom job hunting example, which is finding a job opportunity that hits both our financial and distance requirements, the individual tasks may look something like this. First of all, know how much you need to earn, since job postings that share the salary share the gross salary, not the take-home net. Every state, province, and country has some sort of income tax calculator, so play with the numbers until you see your required minimum take-home pay. Next, put it out there. Ask friends, acquaintances, neighbors if their companies are hiring. And once that's out in the world, go on job sites like Indeed or whatever is comprehensive where you live. It's more efficient to batch tasks, so instead of thinking of applying to every single one at a time, create a Google or Word document copy-pasting each job opening that you might consider. For job postings you're interested in, identify which ones do not immediately share the pay scale in the job posting and make a note to reach out to existing employees on LinkedIn, or call and find out if it hits your requirements so you're not wasting your time applying. And by the way, if you're curious on how to get that type of information like salary of a job when the posting doesn't outright say it, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a future video that shares how I personally extract hidden information from companies all the time I'm considering pitching to. But as you can see, all of these individual tasks, when completed, let you know that you have reached the checkpoint. And with a notebook, it's very ceremonial to cross these individual tasks out one by one. Once all tasks have been completed to indicate that you've reached the next checkpoint, that's when you can move on to the next checkpoint and create the list of individual tasks to accomplish to reach that one. Wash, rinse, repeat. But back on track. You put these 3 main page execution types together and you start by clearly defining your desired outcomes and validating that it is indeed what you really want. You continue by charting the path with individual checkpoints to get you there. And you move on by assigning the individual tasks that you'll need to one checkpoint at a time so you can remain laser focused on the nearest checkpoint instead of only seeing the potentially daunting and scary top of the mountain. And you execute each task one by one. At any given time, I have 3 or 4 of these desired outcomes on the go. For example, right now, I have a slightly more complicated than normal client project with a bunch of moving parts that have various project checkpoints to reach before final delivery to the client. I'm tweaking my outbound sales process to get more clients more efficiently and have multiple assumptions to test which serve as checkpoints until I validate a more repeatable and scalable sales pipeline. I'm on a journey to be able to do 10 pull-ups with perfect form in a row and have checkpoints for each additional clean rep and individual training tasks to increase my strength and muscular endurance at each individual checkpoint. So with multiple desired outcomes spread across multiple pages, how do I not get lost and ensure I'm on track? It's pretty simple, paperclips. I mean, look, tactically, as you know, I approach each checkpoint at a time, but throughout my day in my pursuit of handling some of the individual tasks to reach the next checkpoints in several defined different results, I take notes when I have phone calls, draw diagrams, write short-term reminders, so of course, pages get used and I have to refer back, so having a dedicated paperclip for each of the defined results is necessary to be able to quickly and easily flip backwards. And every night before I go to bed, I identify the next day's big daily 3, the minimum 3 individual tasks spread across all my defined results, and copy them to the current working page of my notebook. They're the things that I must accomplish by day's end tomorrow come hell or high water. As I complete them, I flip back to their corresponding checkpoint task pages and again ceremoniously cross them out. If I complete the big daily 3 before the end of the workday and I still have some more gas in the tank, I copy more individual tasks from my tasks listing page to my current working page and continue onwards. Once all the individual tasks of a checkpoint have completed, I flip back to the original spread, ceremoniously cross out that checkpoint, then define the individual tasks for the next checkpoint. Wash, rinse, repeat until I cross all the tasks of all the checkpoints and therefore achieve the initial desired defined result. Ultimately, this notebook system I've honed over the past few years has stuck with me because of one single key benefit. The single greatest key benefit is that it trains you to think in processes and systems. After all, literally everything we do and want to achieve has a process. Even something as mundane as lying down on the couch to take a nap has individual tasks you have to complete before you lie down. For example, before I lie down on the couch, I need to ask myself, is the stove on? Is there anything sharp or fragile on the couch I should remove? Am I expecting an important phone call? And if so, ensure my phone is not on silent? This may sound like a silly example, but it's just to simply demonstrate that literally everything you want or need to achieve will benefit from you building the muscle of identifying the checkpoints and the individual tasks required to hit each checkpoint in order to lead your life to the most fulfilling degree that you can, and I argue, that you deserve. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll really like this one right over here. And if you got some value, please do hit that like button. And consider subscribing, because that one little tap or click really helps my humble little channel out a ton. Regardless, as usual, thanks so much for kicking it with me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.